Listen, we got no time for fancy fucking intros this episode. It's probably going to be long as fuck. NOFX was formed in 1983 by vocalist and bassist Fat Mike along with Eric Melvin and Eric Sandin. El Jefe joined the band in 1991 to play lead guitar and trumpet, and they took the 90s by storm. English singer-songwriter Frank Turner was a huge fan of the band in his youth and continues to be a fan as well as a friend of Fat Mike and the band. NOFX and Frank Turner decided to do a split album, something NOFX hasn't done since 2002 with Rancid. The album consists of 10 cover tracks, 5 Frank Turner songs covered by NOFX, followed by 5 NOFX songs covered by Frank Turner. The album dropped on July 31st, 2020, and your boys are going to review the whole damn thing. That's right, it's NOFX and Frank Turner's West Coast vs. Wessex on Cover Me.
Music, it's my substitute for love. The last girl that I loved, she was the low and lusty.
Quit your drinking, now's the time. But will he ever walk the line? To all my friends, I feel just fine. But will he ever walk the line?
That's right, it's Cover Me, the only podcast that usually talks about famous songs and their many cover versions, compares them against one another to find out which one is punk. This week, we're talking about the split cover album West Coast vs. Wessex. I'm your West Coast as always, Jake Cressy, joined by my Wessex.
Hello, my name is Alex Mildenberger.
Oi, bruv.
Hey,
Fish and chops, isn't it?
and chops.
And chops.
Blimey.
How's it going, Alex?
It's going all right, but the temperature dropped below like 21 degrees. So I'm cold.
Oh, you're freezing to death.
Yeah. For reasons
Freeze
that
your
I
tits
don't
off
understand.
weather in Calgary.
Yep. Yep. It is. Oh man, it's 20 now. We're heating up.
Oh
We're
shit.
heating up. Things are heating up. How's
Excellent.
the
We got
coast?
some-
How's your coast, which is the West Coast?
Which is the West Coast. So you are not actually in Wessex, but I am on the West Coast. So
Mhm. We're like
it's good.
halfway
I
there.
mean, we
Whoa.
had some rain this week, which was nice after all the fucking blasting heat we've been having out here.
Oh, the heat.
But yeah, back to sunny weather here. I am living the dream.
Sounds dreamy.
Sounds dreamy, sounds memey. Alex, you and I both big Frank Turner fans.
True.
Also, you and I have pretty much never heard of or listened to NOFX until probably this last week, give or take.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. I looked him up a bit before because we planned this ahead.
That's
little
right,
bit.
motherfuckers.
But yeah, not really.
Yeah.
Not much knowledge. Listening to them, it's pretty solid punk band. They got some.
Yeah.
They have like a fair amount of material too. They've been together for a long time, so.
Yeah, since 83. So that's, what is that, like 37 years of material?
I don't do math on the weekends.
All right. Well, get back to me tomorrow and let me know.
Yeah. Talk to my guy about that.
Yeah, buddy. So yeah, just some general questions for you, Alex. What'd you feel about the choices for songs on this album? I guess particularly for the NOFX covers of Frank Turner songs. What do you think about the songs they chose?
This is really something that you said, but I found it to be true. Obviously, because it is. It was all a lot of earlier stuff. Like I think the latest one was like 2011.
Yeah, the Glory Hallelujah.
And there's quite a bit of material after that,
Mhm.
which is all good. Other than that, the choices, they seem, I don't know, they seem fine. I didn't have like a criticism of the choices per se.
Yeah, I found in terms of like it was almost easy. They made very easy choices because a lot of them are off his first EP, Campfire Punk Rock,
Right.
which is just acoustic guitar basically.
True.
One of
and
them I
then you
think
can just
gets
do
some
whatever you
strings in
want with
there.
that.
So yeah, you can really just do whatever the fuck you want there.
That's true. But that I hadn't really considered that all that much.
Yeah, well, that's what I considered, Alex. I would have been curious to hear. I mean, both of them, even Frank Turner stuff, is pretty much just the '90s of NOFX. The latest you get is '97, I believe. which was like their peak. So he gets a few covers off of Punk and Drublick, their 5th studio album, which is sort of
Right.
their rise to popularity, and then a few on I think some sequential albums.
Right.
But yeah, it would have been easy. It would have been interesting rather to see them both tackle some sort of later work.
Yeah. Well, also I think for him that was like probably his teens, if I'm doing my math properly.
Yeah, he was 80. He was 2 years old when the band formed in 83. So in 94, 11 years later, he'd have been 13.
Yeah. So like during that period of like mid to late 90s. So that's that time where you like form those like real like weirdly strong bonds with music for reasons that don't necessarily make any sense. Like that's the stuff you remember, you know?
Right, yeah, it's like primordial. It's you know, you're very susceptible to music in those years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and there's a quote in this Punk News interview with Frank Turner where he says like, you know, I had Fat Mike's posters up on my wall. And so it's crazy that he's now doing a split album with him.
That is cool because they always say, "Don't meet your idols" or whatever, or your heroes.
Yeah, never meet your heroes.
But sometimes it works out.
Sometimes it works out. Yeah, overall, I think there's some solid song choices on here, and I think even though I find some of the covers are a little more low effort than some of the other ones, they're still like high quality. Like it's professional musicians covering professional musicians that they know. It's very like even at its worst, it's still very good.
Yeah, right. Everyone's kind of out in full force doing their thing, whatever
Yeah.
their thing might be.
That said, Alex, should we just get into the meat of this and start talking about this?
Let's talk about a song.
Let's talk about. So we're just gonna go through it sequentially. So the first song, the first 5 songs are all Frank Turner originals that have been covered by NOFX. So we're gonna start with "Substitute."
Music, it's my substitute for love. The last girl that I loved, she was a low and lusty liar.
Which is originally off the album Love Iron Song, I believe.
It is. It is.
Which is a 2008?
I don't have
2009.
years written down. It was his.
Alex, you fucking amateur.
Who cares when things happen? Time doesn't really exist.
It's a 2009 album, Love Iron Song. So his first EP came out in 2006. So this is 3 years after that.
Yeah, and then he had one album before this. And this is the second one. And
right.
he has this song on it. And it's about it's like comparing his experiences with love and his experiences with music and perhaps trying to explain why he's so drawn to music. Perhaps. But also mostly talking about relationships. Because a lot of Frank
Yeah.
Turner songs end up being about relationships.
Relationships. This is about particularly two women. The first girl that he fell for and the last girl, which I'm assuming to mean most recent and not like the last girl I'll ever love, although maybe that is an interpretation of it as well.
Well, I should hope at the time he didn't know, because I don't think he'd met his wife yet.
Yeah, I don't believe he had. But, you know, you can be dramatic in songs, so maybe
Oh, that's
maybe
true.
he was being a little dramatic here.
That is possible.
Songs are not always just, you know, history written down.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay. Well,
That makes that doesn't check. That doesn't work for me.
yeah,
No.
so this song, it's I'm just gonna march right past your bullshit, Alex.
What?
So it's about these two failed relationships, and it's also about how he substitutes music for love. And so in reading it, there seems to be the idea present. He talks about why the women he was in relationships, like what their flaws were in the verses. He says, like the first one's a visionary girl who's caught up in her own ideologies that she has no room for anything else. But then tucked in at the last line is he says, I wrote her 15 songs, but still we had to part. And then the next girl he wrote 16 songs for. So he almost seems to use love as an excuse for music.
Yeah, and he does write a lot of songs about women. And also kind of goes like 15, 16, shows that progression, but almost seems like he's progressively falling for them more and more, sort of thing.
Yeah. That idea will also come up in, I believe, the second track on this. But yeah, so he's falling more and more in love. He's making more songs, and that's how he gauges each relationship, is by it seems to be by the amount of music produced,
So sort of,
which
yeah.
ties into the chorus. Music is my substitute for love. So I think he is acknowledging in this is that he has an unhealthy relationship with love, but also the women he was with had an unhealthy view of it.
And he ends up sort of comparing his experience with love to his experience with music.
Mm-hmm.
Perhaps.
And then we bring up the idea of true love near the end. I've had many different girls inside my bed, but only one or two inside my head. And then he says, what I would give not to stumble, but to really fall in love. And I could substitute my singing for the sound of someone sleeping next to me.
A lot of S sounds there.
Yeah.
I'll give it that.
I'll give it that. So it's in that is almost the idea that music is his mating call, or his mating dance. And then as soon as he finds an actual lover, he could maybe stop singing.
It's like a Sherlock Holmes situation where when he's on the case, he doesn't need his cocaine.
That's right. Exactly.
Of course, he doesn't really bring addiction into this one.
No.
But, I don't know. Maybe.
But, kind of. If music was the food of love, then I'd be a fat, romantic slob.
He does say that.
So, he overindulges in music, certainly.
And that's the song.
Well, that's the song, yeah. It's about failed relationships and
Two
music.
specifically. One ended because they weren't compatible, one because they were cheating.
Mm-hmm. So the musical composition of this, it's pretty much acoustic guitar.
Yeah, a lot of these earlier ones, it's kind of easy to say, he plays acoustic guitar, strums that guitar, and sings at the same time. This one's kind of got, more... I mean, most of them have sort of, an involved picking, strumming pattern. But you really get that kind of, country influence there from the playing style.
Yeah, it's got me thinking of last week when we talked about Peter Green being an emotional guitar player.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if there's some of that here, where as we go through these Frank Turner tracks, you're going to notice sort of different tones coming out of the guitar. So this is a more dark tone. We'll have other ones where it's much brighter and lighter. It's not necessarily complex playing, like you said. It's got some of that finger-picking country influence in there, but, it's fairly simple overall.
Yeah. And there's not, a ton of other instruments or anything. It's pretty...
No.
There's, I think another guitar for some of it.
Yeah, I believe there are two guitars, and I think I'm hearing a little bit of shaker percussion in the chorus.
Yeah, that's pretty quiet.
Yeah, very quiet. I literally just picked up on that now, so...
Yeah, same, because you said it and I heard it afterwards.
Yeah, but it's very simple. You get louder in the chorus. You get more involved on the second verse. That guitar is doing a lot more work.
Yeah, but there's not a ton of different parts to it.
Yeah, it's
They're moving,
yeah, that's pretty much it. With that, Alex, anything to say about the original before we move on to the NOFX version?
No, take it away.
All right, NOFX covered this in the year 2020.
Music, it's my substitute for love. The last girl that I loved, she was a low and lusty love.
Who?
NOFX.
Never heard of.
Or it's NOFX.
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 Yes, they did.
Yeah, so this is a very, we start off with a sort of skank guitar. This is very ska punk.
Yeah. These songs all have varying levels of ska going on.
Yeah, that's the big difference between
how
them
much
all.
ska did they put in? This one the beginning, not rhythmically, but the ska kind of has like it's like the sound's like overdriven, I think,
Mhm.
and
And there's like a bit of echo on it maybe because they really let it ring out in that space.
yeah, definitely. And then I believe they add some bass in pretty soon.
Yeah. And it's a lot of like walking bass line inspired bass lines. He really gets to move around when he's playing.
Mm-hmm. And no,
And wait,
I lost my train of thought. I'm sorry.
well, we go through the first verse in this sort of quiet, the rhythm guitar, that bass kind of going up and down, and then Fat Mike's vocals, which are your pretty standard, like the punk standard for the 1990s.
Yeah, like
Uh,
gruff, not necessarily that melodic, but like
yeah,
kind of
and a
melodic.
little bit whiny.
It's gotta be. It's gotta be a little whiny.
Just a touch whiny. And so he goes in through the first verse, and then at the line music, and yeah, it does most of the first chorus. Music, it's my substitute for love. You do the lead into the big playing heavy part.
Yes, and there's also those like punk harmonies on there. And those are gonna come up a lot.
Yeah.
Where we've talked about this before. Like it's kind of just everyone singing over the thing. Like it's sort of a harmony, but it's really just everyone singing together.
Yeah, so it's not like professional, it's not clean,
Yeah.
but that dirtiness of, your ragtag choir getting together is punk rock. This is like textbook punk.
Yeah. Yeah. This is the rudiments we're discussing here.
Yeah. Yeah, so you get the big rip, and then we get a sort of new establishment for the second verse of instruments, which does big long sustains and then quick run segments in between certain lines.
Yeah, and I mean the rhythm, like the drums pop in. We're not very ska at this point. It's pretty straight punk.
Yeah.
It's all just like four on the floor kind of situation with the drums.
Hmm.
And like you said, that guitar is a little more distorted and playing them chords, but quickly.
Yeah.
And it like speeds up at this point. Cause
Yeah, we
that
start
rhythm-
getting some very fast
Yeah.
playing. And then this is essentially another big thing we're going to see with these NoFX covers is going from fast to slow to the intro breakdown back to fast, and just like a lot of shifting the like tempo, I suppose.
Yeah, there's a lot of like sections, especially I mean, if you look at it compared to the original, a lot of them are going to be similar to this song in that it's pretty much Frank Turner with a acoustic guitar, maybe a few other tracks on there. Or simple other things or whatever. And they'll like have a ska section and then they'll speed it up a bit and it's more just like straight punk rock and then they'll do their harmonies or whatever. Or like a breakdown. Yeah. Which kind of what you said, but I like to think it added something.
Yeah, I'll agree to that. I say it certainly adds something. Now, I mean that's pretty much the instrumental stuff that's going on. There's a few, and this is one of the only songs that does it on the album. A few lyrical changes. Some of them minor, some of them less than minor. So the first one being instead of girls, he calls them dimes at one point.
It says
The line
dimes?
is,
Okay.
yeah, many different dimes inside my head.
Dimes.
But only, and he switches it around, head and bed. So in the
Yes.
original, it's many girls inside my bed. He says inside my head, but only one or two inside my bed.
So is it like dames? Is it supposed to
Yeah.
be like he's saying it with an accent?
Yeah, he
Dimes.
doesn't really pull out that full, like, pretending to do
No.
a Wessex accent yet. But yeah, I think he maybe pulls that in occasionally.
Dimes. I honestly couldn't
and then,
figure out what he was saying.
I could be wrong, but I think that's what it is.
That's the only thing that's made sense so far, so.
There you go. And then near the end, instead of someone sleeping next to me, oh, what I would give, he says someone tied up next to me. I personally believe both of these line changes are pretty crucial moves in making this song more pop punk.
Yeah, because now it's like well, I guess the two interpretations of tied up is either like BDSM or he's kidnapped a person and tied them up. But I think it's the ambiguity that makes it a little more like pop punky.
Yeah, that sort of like wacky hijinks that might be sexual. When
Yeah.
we talk about pop punk, we
Vaguely
always talk about
sexual, wacky hijinks. Yeah,
yeah,
that's pop punk.
how teenage it is, right? And that is teenage hijinks. That's teenage humor. And then the concept of having a lot of girls inside your head, but only having slept with a couple is again like a very young person. Like, oh, I like all these attractive girls, but I've only had sex with one or two. Like,
Yeah, definitely like changes that and like changes the perspective of the song to be from a different character, I guess.
yeah, it turns this song sort of about failed relationships into a much more like pop punk take on that, where it's
Yeah.
like I'm a bit of a loser, maybe.
Yeah.
And but hey, I'm out here and I'm doing it.
Yeah.
And yeah, along with like the sort of richer composition, which is a pretty easy bar to to cross over.
Right.
I really do think this is maybe even one of NoFX's more solid covers on this album. I think this one does a great job of opening the album. I think it does a great job of really taking this song and making it their own.
Switching it up a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts on this one, Alex?
I don't have many other thoughts on this one.
All right. Well,
If
we're going to
any.
move to track 2, also from the year 2009, is it? It's from Sleep is for the Weak.
Yeah, that was when the
this-
like anniversary or something edition came out, so
Okay.
yeah, there was like a second edition. So if you look at the release date of I don't remember now when it actually came out. It would have been like 06, 07.
Oh, yeah, that seems right. So it's an earlier one, but it is it's Worse Things Happen at Sea.
Honestly, relax, my dear. It's clear that we are done. Doesn't take a scientist to figure out that one. It's obvious the way you move, the way you hold your head, the way you hide.
Worst Things Happen at Sea, which is I couldn't figure out if it was like a legitimate phrase.
I believe it is, isn't it?
I wasn't sure. I feel like it's got to be, right? It sounds like it.
Yeah.
It sounds like old-timey, like, oh, worse things happen at sea. Like, don't worry about that thing you're worried about because it could be worse. Just think if you were at sea and that happened.
Mhm.
You'd be,
Or just because of the
Water all around
batshit
you.
stories sailors tell.
yeah. I guess that's
It's just
another
like,
thing. Tall sailor
Worse
tales.
things have happened at sea. Cause
Sirens. They got
shit's
manatees
crazy out there.
They got fucking krakens.
Yeah,
And whatnot.
they got super hot fish out there, bro. It's
Hot
crazy.
fish. You will want to kidnap these fish.
Yeah, and I just tried to look up the phrase, and I think encountered the same problem you did. Is there doesn't seem to be a clear origin.
Yeah.
On the Genius page, when you look at that line, the person, what's his name? Does he have a name? It might be Oliver Cleghorn. No, that's just the guy who says it's also in Monty Python's Life of Brian. But yeah, he says Frank's lover dismisses his heartache with the old adage, worse things happen at sea,
Oh.
implying that this is like a common knowledge.
All right. Well, it's not something that I've heard very often, so I'm assuming it's an English thing.
Mm-hmm. I feel like I've heard a variation of it, but what that would be now, I can't even think of.
Maybe.
So we go from a song about failed relationships in a past tense to a present tense. We get to witness a breakup.
Right. The first one, Substitute, was more about the idea of failed relationships, and this is about a specific failed relationship. And he's very like upset about it.
Yeah,
Like that's the tone that comes across here. Like
it's a real building frustration.
yeah, it's like yeah, it's done. Like I don't want to think about it, kind of thing. Like obviously
Yeah.
it's done, and I just need to get over it. But like it's clearly upset.
Yeah, and it's very much he's been in other relationships before. This isn't the inexperienced lover from the NoFX cover.
Mm-hmm.
This is this is Frank, because he says, "I'll be fine. This isn't my first time. I've taken blows before, and every time I've survived." And he even, like, this is in the second verse where he's trying to, justify that it's going to be fine. He says, "At least you never tried to fuck my friends," implying that that has happened before. Like, worse things
Yeah.
have technically happened to him before, but this one, as we go out through the song, obviously hurts a lot more.
Yeah, he's just trying to convince himself that it could be worse, but that's hard to do and not always a good thing.
And throughout it, with the repetition of the verses, she says, and of course he's saying, you say worse things happen at sea. I say worse things have happened to me.
Which rhymes.
Yeah, it rhymes, and he's saying, well, you know what? Like, I've been through worse than this. Like, fuck you. I'm gonna be fine. I'm gonna be fine. And yeah, it starts to well up both in what the lyrics say and how he's singing them, and sort of the welling of the instrumentation.
Yeah,
Till it-
yeah, because we get
yeah.
the strings in there, so you really get that like build of the strings throughout.
Yeah, and then it kind of climaxes at the well, honestly, your honesty has emerged unscathed verse.
Yeah, I mean, like anytime you say "I'm doing fucking great," that's like that's such like a sarcastic thing to say.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I'm
And he's
fucking great.
I'm fucking great. Yeah, and he's screaming this this whole verse. Yeah, brilliant. I really love this this whole verse. I know my place, I know your face, so you hide yours and I'll keep to mine. That's
Where you like have that like he rhymes, he has two phrases, and he
yeah.
it's like an A B B A kind of situation, and
Yeah, it's just like so fast that you have to look at it and say, wait a second, what the fuck did he say? And then you read it, you're like, oh, that is cold. Yeah, he brings up other things in the build-up, like how he's gonna see her in the arms of other friends or other men, which is, again, like he's been through this shit in previous relationships, obviously.
Yeah, that's I guess the other part of it where it just feels like we're going through this again, sort of thing.
Yeah, he's like, here's what fucking happens. I've been through this. This is everything that happens.
He's frustrated. He's sort of being dismissive about the situation, trying to move past it, but he can't. So it maybe feels like he's wasting more time. Like he wasted time, and now he can't get over it, so he's wasting more time. So that would frustrate me. So yeah, I think,
and you can.
It's a pretty strong song for like creating that atmosphere and like getting that across, I think.
Yeah, getting that. I've just kind of noticed. I mean, I knew it was there, but every time the chorus happens, it actually grows longer each time by 2 lines.
Oh, interesting. So it's like
it's like we slowly reveal what he's actually thinking.
You get like more and more detail every time. Goes a little further.
And then yeah, it breaks at the end. We've had our big climax, and then the final line is, "This is the worst thing that's happened to me. I guess worse things happen at sea." So he
it
kind of takes her viewpoint.
Like a wave.
Like a wave. Yeah, this whole thing has a sort of nautical vibe, even in the instrumentation.
How so?
I'd say it's really the guitar that's playing it for me. It's got this, I've written, ancient sea vibe to it.
Yeah, I guess a lot of the time, I mean, Frank Turner often gets classified as like folk punk. So when he brings that like kind of old English stuff, mostly probably through use of like the mandolin in a particular, or maybe it's like a fingerpick guitar style. I don't know exactly, but it feels like that. Like any like vaguely medieval music that sounds English is gonna feel kind of oceany because England is on an island.
Yeah, I suppose you're right. That's probably what I'm picking up on.
Or nautical, or yeah, I don't know. There's something there.
There's definitely something there. So again, I guess we'll talk about the instrumentation here. It is primarily acoustic guitar.
Yes.
Something dark. It almost reminds me of a Jethro Tull song, but I can't think of which one.
Mother Goose, maybe?
Maybe.
Because that's what I'm getting, like, right at the beginning.
Yeah, the tone of it is very similar. And again, old English kind of vibe on that. So yeah, I think you sussed out what I was feeling there.
And that kind of he does that sort of, again, like picking and strumming pattern. Get that like folky feeling, and then slowly in the background you start to get those strings that swell up. After a while, you start to get them fairly early on, but not right at the start.
And it's, it's quite light. And then again, this is another song where everything builds until we get the big break, which is him screaming at the end while the strings actually kind of play alongside him, and they're going up, and they would be soloing if he wasn't singing, but they're doing quite a lot of melody work.
Yeah, they're kind of doing their own counter melody.
Yeah.
Second melody at the same time, because it's like they're not just like playing chords.
Yeah.
Or like a run or something like that, like an arpeggio. I don't think.
No, yeah, it seems to be like I said, it would be a solo. So yeah, maybe a counter melody is the.
I'm trying to remember all my terms, and I'm blanking a little bit. Something like that.
They say the best way to find out the correct term is to be wrong on the internet, right? Because then people come correct you.
Yeah,
never happens on this podcast. But
we're trying to be wrong as much as possible. We need people to correct us.
Exactly.
It's not working. Because we've been wrong a lot.
We've been wrong a lot, I'm sure.
There's also some like, I want to say hand drumming. It doesn't necessarily have to be hands.
But it is something, it's like soft drumming, so you think it might be with a... I'll be honest, I haven't even picked up on it. Is there a point where it's quite clear in the song?
2:30.
Okay, I'm just coming up on that. Oh, yeah, you can hear that.
Yeah, it's buried pretty deep, but it's there.
Yeah.
Deep like the sea?
Whoa!
Levels!
We've cracked this thing wide open.
Yeah, that's pretty much his version. It like quiets down at the end because he's kind of like defeated and sad.
Yeah. It's a very simple composition that's, I think, done expertly.
Yeah, like I already said, like it conveys its mood very well, and sort of its progression of like emotion.
Yeah. With that, let's talk about the NOFX version.
Honestly, relax, my dear. It's clear that we are done. It doesn't take a scientist to figure out that one. It's obvious the way.
Like with the NOFX version. So it starts with strumming a chord repeatedly. And I know it's just a very simple action, but it kind of sounds like the beginning of Now I'm Here by Queen.
Right.
For a bit. For a point of reference.
Yeah, you get that, and then I think there's another one that's doing like a Root 5 kind of rhythm.
Yes. After a couple seconds, that comes in. And and that happens for a bit. Because usually when you play a song, you do things more than once. And then some vocals.
Yeah, very nasally on this track, more so than I think any other.
I didn't compare nasality.
But you always got to be looking for nasality.
I gotta listen to nasality. I forgot noses. Even people had them. Fuck. I gotta look at pictures. I don't have a mirror right now. I used to have a mirror in my room, but I haven't got one yet.
You forget what human faces look
I haven't
like.
just looked at faces as much. Mine specifically. I have a nose.
Yeah,
you might not know this, dear listeners.
I've seen it.
You know this, Jake. I smell things sometimes.
That's true. I've seen you do it.
Dramatically.
Yeah, like a bloodhound.
With my ears?
Go around the whole room. And then you go like real stiff and just point in a direction.
Like a cartoon dog.
Yeah.
So this song is like a cartoon dog. That's what we're trying to say.
That's what we're trying to say. So it is like, again, it's a pop punk interpretation. So it starts out much louder than the original is one thing to say.
True.
Like that. So we're already at like a higher energy level. He then drums come in around the line about pretty eyes.
Yeah, they kind of like come in with this fill and then just straight
Mm-hmm.
4/4. And then it kind of continues that way. This one, as many changes, I don't think. There's a higher guitar that comes in after they do the like worst things happen at sea
Yeah.
bit. And then actually there is a faster segment.
Yeah, that's around 148, I believe.
Yeah. So I'd say something that you might expect from this sort of a punk song.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas
Again, it's
I'll just finish
Go
my
ahead.
thought.
Yeah.
Whereas in the Frank Turner version, sort of the strings were a big part of that tension build. This one
Yeah.
increases the tempo.
Yeah. It's similarly constructed, honestly, to their cover of Substitute, where they're doing a lot of dynamics. This is a big heavy section. We'll drop to a low one. We're gonna play this bit very fast. Like things move quite quickly through different phases.
Yeah, which is, I mean, we talked about something kind of like that back in like Stacy's Mom,
Mm-hmm.
right? Where like there's the different segments, even though that song is more like pop punk adjacent.
Yeah.
But I think there's a similar sort of theory behind it and like a similar history.
Yeah.
The style of playing, anyway.
Yeah, I would agree with that. When we come to the last chorus session, the longest chorus, you get a sort of call and response between Fat Mike and somebody else, presumably, where they do like a shouting out of the next line, and their voice sounds like a little distorted, maybe.
Yeah, this one actually kind of has more like traditional backup vocals too, like people
Yeah.
like they're doing the like as opposed to just the kind of more straightforward like shouting the line again.
Yeah, shouting with your boys.
Mm-hmm. Boy shouting.
Yeah. Classic boy shouting.
Boy shouts. I thought I had something else. There's some pretty like, as part of the build, I think the guitar really starts to like go fast and like play some like fast licks too.
Yeah.
Like as the vocals are going. So I think it's just kind of trying to create that same effect you get from the swell of the strings.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, like around 228, it does like a straight up, almost heavy metal rip.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Some of the stuff they do definitely has that feeling.
Mm-hmm.
So really, it's trying to do a lot of the same things, but because they've changed it into this like pop punk thing, it starts higher and does different things to rise up.
Yeah, I'd say it's a successful translation into pop punk. Maybe even something a little harder than pop punk. Maybe just punk.
Maybe it's semi-hardcore pop punk, but actually had a post before that because everything is after something.
Why not? I just my thing coming into it is I don't think like with Substitute, I think something was really gained. We really moved to a new interesting version of that song, just with a few subtle changes. But with this, I feel we're at no net gain or net loss. It is just a different take on the song.
Sure.
So there's nothing wrong with that. And this is kind of what I talked about when we talked in the overview. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing like fucking awesome about that either. It's just cool. You're like, hey,
Yeah.
it's an NOFX version
It's
of it. Cool.
Right on. That rocks. You might say.
You might say that.
You might say, this doesn't rock. But
You might say, this is not my beautiful rock.
you might say a lot of things.
You might say a lot of things. What would you,
might
say,
I might
Alex?
say worse things happen at sea.
Hey. Pretty clever, Alex.
But that's not implying that I didn't like this version. Although I do, for a lot of them, kind of hold that similar but like on the same level kind of thing. Not like necessarily improving or harming
Yeah.
opinion. Like just a different thing.
Just a different thing. Yeah, yeah. You know what? Yeah, let's move on to Thatcher Fuck the Kids, Alex.
This is a fun song.
When all sense of community dies, and you just close your eyes to the other side of all the things that she did. Thatcher fucked the kids.
Yeah, 2006 from the Campfire Punk Rock EP.
Going way back.
About Margaret Thatcher, who was the UK Prime Minister from 1979 to 1990.
Maggie Thatcher herself.
Mm-hmm.
So, getting a little political, because, of the politics of the situation.
Yeah, I love that both bands did a political cover for a country that they're not a part of.
Yeah, that is fun. Of course, Frank Turner has that Make America Great Again song.
That's true, yeah.
So sometimes you gotta be political across the pond.
Globally,
as they
across
say.
the pond.
Sometimes politics have global effects.
That's right, baby.
From time to time. So the song itself is Frank laments the effect of Thatcher-era policies on the younger generation, who really had no part in picking this particular government, and in his opinion were largely harmed by growing up with this government.
Yeah, summed up by his criticisms of a sort of individualism, which was purported by Thatcher with the quote, "There's no such thing as society. There are individual men and women, and there are families." And there's another thing he says, but yeah, he talks about in the first verse how he's he has to be cautious around children because they're little fucking bastards for trying to steal his wallet and shit. But then the rest of it, he explains it's not really their fault. It's Margaret Thatcher for pushing and the whole boomer generation essentially for pushing these policies that made them richer and then not offering those same opportunities to the youth.
Yeah, and then chastising them for complaining
Mm-hmm.
about it. Frank Turner does not play this song anymore.
No.
Which is fair. It's pretty strongly political.
Yeah.
But I think it's a fun song.
Yeah, I think it's fun. It's it's played on an acoustic guitar. It's a good little political punk song. It's like, hey, who's a fucking bitch? Thatcher.
Yeah, that's that's kind of it.
Yeah, that's really it.
Some fun lines.
We don't need to delve too much into it. Yeah, and instrumentally, it's acoustic guitar, baby.
It certainly is. I didn't
This
notice
is much more laid back. Like the last two have been a much darker acoustic tone. This one's quite bright, quite playful in its sound.
Yeah, it's got kind of its little strumming picking pattern thing. That's distinctive, I think. I could pick it out, plays that over and over again, change a little bit on the chorus, pretty straightforward.
Yeah. Longer notes vocally in the chorus as well. A lot of sustains. And yeah, that's it. It's a very simple piece, what you might expect from an EP called Campfire Punk Rock. It really fits that idea.
I happen to agree. Also fun to sing along with, at least for the one line, Thatcher fuck the kids.
Thatcher fuck the kids. And it is, it's very sing-songy, that particular line.
Because a lot of it is him just saying things. Some of them rhyme. Do they all rhyme? They don't all rhyme. It's it's not necessarily a song that is trying to rhyme or have a particular structure. Anyway,
yeah. With that, Alex, let's talk about the NOFX version.
And all the rich folks act surprised when all sense of community dies. But you just close your eyes to the other side of all the things that she did. Thatcher fucked the kids.
Which my first note is, this is some mozzarella stick ska.
Yeah, this is now we're dipping into the ska.
This is
This is
Full
mozzarella
blast.
sticks with ska sauce. This is we're going ska now.
Yeah, if you were wondering if we were gonna get very ska on this album, they do. It's this.
Yeah, comes in with this guitar very similar to the other ska-ish guitar we were talking about before. Plays a little riff and then like in between like does upstrums. Like it's all that like backbeat ska stuff.
Yeah. And then once you get into the second half of the verse, there's a little guitar that kind of goes like up and down between the ska beats. Dun, 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 dun.
Oh yeah, that like quick thing they use sometimes. Yeah, that like I don't know all the ska theory, but I feel like I've heard this on ska songs before.
Yeah.
They're playing an organ along with that with the progression. It's kind of doing its own like. It's very bouncy, which you'd expect from ska.
Yeah.
But also
it
the
is,
original is more bouncy than at least the first two songs, so
yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah, this is a real good like up. It's an upbeat song. It really lifts you up after the last two, which are pretty hard.
Oh yeah.
And then you get to this, which is a great punk rock criticism. They really tuned in on the fun of the original, and they're like, "Here, you go full blast on the ska with it. It's gonna be fun."
Yeah, you get into like the punk attitude where it's like, okay, not necessarily the most sophisticated argument, but like still fuck you for doing bad thing, like that harmed me in my perception.
Yeah.
So
You're
like,
listen,
yeah,
I'm not.
I'm just mad right now, so I'm gonna express
Yeah.
it with this song. And you're like, yeah, let's have a good time with it too.
So you get like a trumpet ripping in occasionally throughout
Yeah,
the song
I
too.
think there's a saxophone
Okay.
involved because like I keep hearing brass lately, and I've done this weird thing where I'm like, oh, it's a trumpet. That trumpet's weirdly raspy, and then realizing I've been listening to a saxophone the whole time.
Okay.
I don't know why it's happened so much lately, but it happened to me on this song as well. I was like, oh, a trumpet, and then it was like, I don't think a trumpet can do that.
Okay, so this is a sax.
I think so, but at the same
Alright.
time, it could be like, I mean, you could get a lot of trombone in ska. So I wonder if it's like a muting technique or something. Now I'm second guessing myself.
Nevertheless, it is brass.
It's brass.
That's being played by El Jefe. It's just his name, man. I don't know.
Can you play a trumpet like that? It sounds so low.
I'm not the man to ask.
It could be a trumpet. I don't know. Now I don't know. I don't know anything anymore. What is
Nobody
life?
knows anything. Who knows?
Ugh.
So this version vocally, Fat Mike starts to dip into a Wessex accent here, or at least his phony attempt at it.
Yes, they go heavy on the accents.
Yeah, especially the closer you get to the end of it.
And just like super full blow. Other band members seem to be joining in. It sounds like there's more than one. More than one accent?
More than one.
Is that what it sounds like to
Yeah.
you? Like it's more than one person?
Yeah, I think so. And obviously you get the female vocals that come in on the Welfare State verse near the
True.
end there.
I don't know who that is.
She's only been a member since 2015. I had their fucking Wikipedia.
Okay, but she's in the... Because
article.
I was curious because she's not in the video. The music video, I don't think.
Yeah.
So I thought I saw like some images of them with a female band member. But
Yeah, it's Karina Denike, if
Okay.
I'm pronouncing that right.
All right.
Denike, maybe.
Denny. I don't know how to spell it.
Well,
But it's not
it's like
important.
Denike, but with an accented E on
All
the
right.
end.
All right. I can accept that. Yeah, definitely like a fun version, especially with those fake accents.
Yeah, and you get studio chatter at the end.
Which is always fun. They seem to like to do studio chatter.
Mm-hmm.
No effects, that is. And he's
That
like,
is, yeah.
so you telling me I should use the saxophone? He's like, oh yeah, man, he's big like Frank Turner.
Yeah, he says, so you're sure you want me to sing this like Frank Turner? And then he says, ask me that in a Wessex accent. He says, so you sure you want me to sing this like Frank Turner?
Yeah,
And
and
then
I
they have a
also
little
don't know
giggle.
what a Wessex accent would sound like. Because
Presumably Frank
Frank
Turner's,
Turner,
'cause he's
sure,
a
but I thought he had
Wessex
more
boy.
like a South London thing going, but not really, because that's more like David Bowie and fuck me.
Yeah. Like, listen, just pick one. Somebody will correct us on it.
Right, yeah. That is what we call a Geordie accent.
There we go. Always know a good Geordie boy when I hear him.
Have you heard
yeah,
a
and I
Geordie
guess
accent? They're
I
fucking wild, man.
probably have. Yeah, I think they're pretty wild.
Uh,
I was gonna say, Fat Mike does this where he does vocal impersonations at the end of tracks at least twice. Because one of the ones we're gonna talk about, Scavenger Type, there's 3 minutes of him doing different like Hanna-Barbera cartoon characters.
and like Beavis and Butthead.
Yeah,
That's fun.
so that's fun. We will get to that soon. Let's talk about the music video for this one.
Yeah, you take the lead.
I will take the lead as soon as I find my place again. So it's Fat Mike's kids, I assume. And they are like drinking some milk. There's a lot of green screen usage in this.
Yeah,
And then
like very
you see a
clearly
woman-
because like the background slides around them as they're sitting on allegedly a floor. It's sliding under them.
Yeah, they really went for that like 90s homemade punk vibe.
Yeah, it's very like
It's very DIY.
I guess lo-fi. Yeah, DIY probably more
Yeah.
so.
And they put like a little filter over it to make it look like it's on like your old camcorder style of film.
Yeah, I guess it is.
And yeah, so it's two kids. They get their milk taken away by an adult woman who's obviously meant to represent Thatcher. Then they throw their hoods up and start acting like little shits. They got Nerf guns and they like shoot them at some people. They graffiti a garage door and dance around. There's a nice Lego sculpture that presumably the kid built, or maybe Fat Mike built it. I don't know.
I hope they built it together.
I hope they built it together like a loving family. And then that kid then dresses himself as a rich guy, and he nominates himself the world's best boss.
And he's trying to pick
And-
between his Mercedes and his Ferrari, which are both like
Yeah.
electric kids' cars.
Yeah, those ones. Which, do you think that kid has both of those cars?
I hope so.
That's nuts. I never got one of those cars when
No,
I was a
I
kid.
always wanted one.
Yeah, they look fucking rad as hell.
They were probably not as rad as they seemed like, but they still seemed really rad. So.
Yeah, exactly. You probably ride it twice, and you're like, yeah, all right.
And then the battery died when you were in it, and you're like, now I have to push this home.
Yeah, just leave it there. Let nature reclaim it. Yeah, and then so the rich guy's car gets egged by the other kid, and then the kids are dressed up as Frank Turner with pink hair, and then Fat
Oh,
Mike
that's
with
right.
not pink
Frank
hair.
Turner had pink hair for a while.
Yeah.
I was like, who's redheaded that this would be referencing?
So yeah, the kids did dress up as them, dance around and sing a bit. It's fun, you know. It was made obviously in the States during quarantine. I
Yeah.
think they did a great job with
Yeah,
it.
fits with the version of the song.
It's it's ska, baby. With that, let's move into the Ballad of Me and My Friends, which is also from the Campfire Punk Rock E EP.
Everybody's got themselves a plan, and everybody thinks they'll be the man, including the girls, the musicians.
Yeah, this is a story song, pretty short story. He's just talking about Frank Turner writes about being part of this music scene at this Nambucca establishment, which
Yeah.
he was a part of. And he's talking about his friends. Apparently, he left out his friend Dan, I believe, who he wrote Dan's song for later.
Oh yeah.
And it's like autobiographical, but also like pretty vague. So it's like, hey, I'm playing a show and I'm getting people to come to the show.
Yeah, in a more general sense, it is about the struggles of being a working musician.
Yeah, and like this feeling of like we're all trying to get somewhere, but right now we're sort of in this weird limbo state where we need to be doing this, but we also I lost my train of thought a little bit. We're in this weird limbo state where like this is what we want to do, but we're still trying to like go somewhere with it.
Yeah. There is I'm missing the line here, but there's a good line that captures that one. I guess yeah, it is like the none of this is going anywhere verse.
Yeah. And like maybe no one will care about this, but this is our time. Of course,
Yeah.
this was like really early. This is his first album, and also kind of because of this experience, this Nambuka part in his life, you may notice a lot of his early songs being very like nostalgic, despite him being in his like early 20s,
Right.
which is kind of something I think he tried to address later a little bit. But he definitely, a lot of his songs have that attitude, and of course
Yeah.
the classic line. Well, not necessarily classic, but like a great line to belt out with a group of people. We're definitely going to hell, but we'll have all the best stories to tell. Like it's a very short
Yeah.
song, but like it really hinges on like that line, I think. 'Cause you get the crowd in with that. Plus it's either live or fake live.
Yeah, I think it is live, and what he's done is instructed the audience which parts to sing along with.
Right.
Because at the end he says like, "Oh, that was ace. Like, good job, everyone."
I like to call things ace. It's fun.
Yeah, me too, baby, all the time.
Ace.
But yeah,
that's ace.
Yeah. In summary, the song is about the struggle of being an unknown. Really, anything he talks about, particularly musicians. He talks about everybody thinks they'll be the man, including the girls. Musicians who lack friends to form a band or singer-songwriters. The rest of us are DJs or official club photographers. You know, we're all trying to get our piece.
And then the place burnt down,
That's right.
and it's rebuilt now, but it burnt
Yeah.
down for a while.
Yeah, great song. It's a concert staple of his. He usually replaces Nambuka with whatever city he's in when he says, "Tonight I'm playing another Nambuka show."
But maybe he'd
It's a
say
great trick.
Calgary. Maybe he'd say Vancouver. I don't know.
Maybe.
I don't
Who
know.
knows?
It's a mystery.
It is a mystery. Let's talk about the NoFX version.
Everybody's got themselves a plan. And everybody thinks they'll be the man, including the girls. The musicians who ask the friends to start a band. The singers, songwriters, the rest of us are DJs.
Yeah.
Which, first of all, I'm surprised they didn't change that line.
That is true. Like, they must have a place they're from, right?
Yeah, there must be like a venue even that they're quite familiar with as a band.
But they don't change it. So, I don't know.
Missed opportunity, I say.
They, of course, get the punk on in this one. Speed it up, make it a little harder, a little rockier, which is what we've come to expect from their versions. Also, they don't have "the" in the title. That's not important, but it's the only song on the album that changes the title even a little bit.
Yeah, I'm just seeing that.
So they come in with the drums on this one and like really kind of set it up for like this punk anthem feeling, because it really is kind of this anthemic thing, even though it's very short.
Yeah.
But they take it more into the punk anthem.
Yeah, because you get those
area.
drums followed by just like a driving bass line, just fucking like root notes. And that's just plugging in the energy to get people going.
Get people going. On the line, even the girls, they have girls singing backups.
They got them girls.
Oh, look at girls. Where do they find
Nice.
girls? I have no history with Beavis and Butthead whatsoever.
Well, my history is they were in the like interstitial parts of a Kid Cudi album.
That's true. They are on Speed and Bullet 2.
Heaven.
I always
think it's to heaven.
I always forget if it's heaven or hell, because both could fit there.
Speed and Bullet to heaven.
Yeah, 2.
Yeah, to heaven.
Number 2.
Speed and Bullet 1 was hell.
And they really focus like on that definitely going to hell line. Like they do like a whole breakdown for that, because they're really going at first, and then just like slow it down and do like we're definitely and like get like piano chords in there. Yeah, it's a good like live rock and roll line. I've already said that, but I want to say it again.
You have said that.
I still believe it. Haven't changed in the last 2 minutes. It's almost
Wow.
like Bon Jovi-esque when they do it here. I don't know. That's what I'm feeling. That's what I'm thinking of.
Okay. Yeah, something in that like kind of big showy arena rock vibe.
Yeah, that's the
Where
feeling.
you break it
from
down
this
to the
one.
piano and you let the whole gang join in.
Yeah, even though it's like very brief, because this is just a small part of the song and the rest of it's very fast. But
Yeah, because they let that happen and then they just pick up the pace immediately
Yeah.
again.
because so like it's still kind of but like that one goes to like a power ballad feeling, I guess I would
Mhm.
say, more than anything.
I think that's a pretty punk move to just dip into another genre for a moment and be like, what if it was like this? And then you're like, oh, what if it was? And they're like, it's not.
Ah. And then they get into now. I'm struggling to come up with a name for this, but this is a style of music maybe Spotify has just shown me a lot of it lately. I don't know, but there was a song I was listening to. I couldn't find it again. I forget what it was. Where it's like punk rock, this like punk rock ballad or anthem, where the whole band is singing and like everyone's supposed to be singing along. So it's this like punk rock anthem choir sound.
Oh,
Do you know what I'm talking about? Like you get it on some homeless gospel choir songs.
Yeah.
And I wish I remember this other group. I've got to find them. But that's a sound I've been like hearing a lot lately and thinking about,
Mm-hmm.
to the point where
like-
I want a name better than punk anthem choir. But
Well, yeah, it's like the working man's chorus, right? It's a ragtag band of individuals singing together.
yeah, I guess it's a maybe more formalized version of the like pub singing kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna mention that. Yeah, pub singing.
That, if you recall, the second opening group when we saw the Interrupters did a section like that. I forget what the group
Yeah.
is called now.
They are called the openers for the Interrupters.
The Openers too. Opener harder.
Opener
Opener.
harder.
I hardly know her.
I know her. Jesus. Yeah, but yeah, it is that like, yeah, somewhere between pub singing and just live audience singing at a concert.
And it's
Yeah.
like that's the song. It's quite short.
It is quite short. Again, this is one that is just kind of like, what if it was punk? And you're like, oh, it's kind of cool, but it's no better or worse for it. It's just fun. Ugh. Anything else before we move on into Gloria Hallelujah? Hallelujah.
There never was no God. There is no God. So clap your hands together. There is no God.
No, I think you had it right the first time. No, go. Let's go.
All right, 2011 album, England Keep My Bones. This is a Frank Turner one. It's essentially a religious sermon about how God is dead.
And or doesn't and or never exist.
Yeah, so it opens like, brothers and sisters, have you heard the news? Again, taking on this sort of like how you would start a sermon. He's like, there's a lot of biblical references. Storm is lifted. My question to you, Alex, is in the first verse here. He says, "So swap your confirmation for your dancing shoes." Is that a reference to the hit film Footloose?
I haven't seen the hit film Footloose.
So, what's his name?
Kevin
Prince
Bacon.
Farquaad.
Oh,
No, not
John Lithgow.
John Lithgow. It bans dancing in the town of Footloose.
Okay, I'm generally familiar with the plot.
Yeah, but for religious reasons, he's a minister,
Right.
and then naturally Kevin Bacon convinces everybody to dance at the end of the film,
Yeah.
including John Lithgow.
Yeah, they loosen their
who
feet.
dances. Yeah, so is that a reference to that, wherein religion is overthrown by dancing?
I hope so. I'll have to watch it. See, I was gonna watch it right after Dirty Dancing, then I forgot, and I still haven't watched it. So I'll put it on
honestly,
the list.
my opinion, not as good as Dirty Dancing.
No.
In fact, like the best thing it has going for it is it's like the music in it, which fucking rips. But
But like, yeah,
Like-
I've already heard that. Mostly.
yeah,
Okay.
Exactly.
I hope so. I don't know. But basically, he's saying it's sort of this sort of taking this idea of like rejoicing in the glory of God and flipping it
Mhm.
around and be like, let's rejoice because there is no God.
Yeah,
is
and then
a
there's all
fun
these like
notion.
little references to like step out of the darkness and onto the streets, which could be the darkness of churches or darkness being ignorance.
Yeah, or just the
Forget about
idea of like dark and light that you get in kind of Christian, like let the light of Christ into your heart or whatever.
yeah, and then forget about the fast. Fasting being a religious thing. Let's have a carnival feast. Raise up your lowered head. You lower your head for prayer,
Mhm.
or if you're if you're sad and shit. It's yeah. So that's really it. Just done over fucking 4 verses in a bridge.
Yeah, it's kind of a striking song. If you're not familiar at all with Frank Turner and you hear it the first time, you're like, oh, he's just like shouting about how there never was a God. That's
There
fun.
never was a god. Yeah, and then of course the bridge is like, be good to your fellow man. It's
Yeah.
like we don't have much time on here, so do stuff and help each other.
And that's nice. And they clap
That's
their hands.
nice. So naturally, as you might expect from this piece, it opens with a big fucking church organ.
Yes. Yes, it does. The whole opening section there, and then becomes a little more. This is the first one that's like featuring. Well, I don't. It's the first one that like the band is there. I think they were still
Right,
around in the other ones, like in the studio, but this is the like first full band song.
Yeah, this is Frank Turner and the Sleeping Souls.
Yeah.
Like,
And this is also
simultaneously.
the album that they got their name from. The song "I Am Disappeared" talks about being the sleeping soul of something or other.
Right.
Also an interesting song because it's about a dream he had one time, where Bob Dylan was there. Which
Sick.
now Bob Dylan has like several songs about dreams, possibly dreams he's had, and I kind of like the notion that just like Bob Dylan is just in dreams all the time, like that's just where he like lives or something.
Yeah,
That amuses me
that
greatly.
seems like where you
It's
live.
something that I occasionally think about because of that song.
Come talk to you about his woodworking
And
or
he's just
whatever it
like,
is he's into.
Hey kids, and anyway, that's Bob Dylan. That's my Bob Dylan.
I'm Bob Dylan. Like a rolling stone. That's all I got.
Yeah. Anyway, that's a completely different song.
Yes, so this song, we open with the church organ. It's very reverent. We get a guitar that gently starts to come in around the second half of the first verse. Then we get a backup choir that's specifically for the line "No God" whenever they say that. And then it's your classic things build. We get more guitar. We get a sort of happy, just a regular piano that moves in instead of an organ. We get some drums. We get some electric guitars. We get big.
Yeah, and then like it does a breakdown near the end. People start clapping.
Mm-hmm.
This is more like traditional pop kind of structure as well compared to the other ones that were
Yeah.
kind of just him strumming. They were. I mean, there's several albums between those two things as well. So
Yeah. Interestingly, when we get to the scared of dying verse, the sort of bridge,
yeah,
we shift to a composition that is pretty reminiscent of what we've heard from NoFX so far. We get some staccato rhythm guitar, a bit of walking bass. Like it's a little bit in their wheelhouse.
it definitely has more of that feeling, and like even the guitar sound is more similar.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, we get like your big poppy hand claps, big long vocal sustains near the end while you have like the whole choir singing.
Sorry, real quick. I had one more thought I
Yeah.
wanted to confirm. They are strumming, but it is not on the. It is on the downbeat, which is
Yes.
a little
Yeah,
different.
not-
Yeah,
Yeah, not a skank.
not a skank. Sorry, sometimes I hear sounds and I need to confirm no one's knocking on my door.
Okay.
No one's
No
knocking
worries.
on my door.
No one's knocking on Alex's door.
Oh.
That hit Guns N' Roses song.
No one's knocking on Alex's door.
Yeah, Alex would get like a hand clap, just vocal section, and it's big, it's loud, and apparently it loops. So there's an organ that plays near the end that loops with the start of the album.
Well, that's fun. Yeah, there's like some piano that plays right at the end. I've never looped this album before.
No, me neither. Particularly, I'm looking at a deluxe edition here, so even if I did that, it wouldn't necessarily work.
Yeah, plus the beginning of the album is like it starts on silence and then it's just him singing, like it's only vocal. I think. No, I'm wrong.
No,
It
you're
opens
wrong.
with some fucking like oboe or some shit. Probably clarinet.
Yeah. So that is Glory Hallelujah. Should we talk about the cover of it now?
We should talk about the cover of it now.
There is no God, so clap your hands together. There is no God, no heaven and no hell. There is no.
NOFX.
Let's do it.
So they also come into the keyboard, but it's not an organ. It's a piano. But it's kind
Yeah,
of...
it's almost got like a toy piano sound to it. It sounds
Yeah.
a little bit juvenile.
It's like compressed sounding, and this, I believe, the reference here is this is the sort of piano you would often hear in a church, like because they'll have like one like digital piano or something. They don't have professional like sound people, so like it's just
Right.
amplified so that everyone can hear it. They don't care about sound. It doesn't sound amazing, you know. I think that's the intention.
Yeah.
But it's
Worth
similar
noting
to
that-
the organ, like it's something you'd find in a church.
Yeah. It's almost that like Sunday school vibe.
Yeah.
Worth noting is that NoFX has actually covered this song several times live prior to recording it for this album.
I think it is a very striking song because it's a good one for like that like level of defiance against the church, especially if you grew up with, you know, religion as part of your life and you moved away from it,
Yeah.
and you're like, hey, let's still be cool, but like still be excellent to each other, but also let's leave the other stuff behind, kind of thing.
Yeah, there's some similarities in terms of, I guess, just punching up at authority between this and Thatcher Fuck the Kids.
Definitely. Both have a similar allure. This one is probably easier to repeat. It's kind of a more songy song. Like, it feels more like a song as opposed to like a direct protest thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like Imagine almost in some ways by John Lennon.
They kind of play it that way too at the beginning, just because it's piano.
Yeah.
Chords with singing over it.
It is lyrically condensed, this version. I think it's we come in at about 30 seconds shorter or something. Full minute shorter.
Full
And
minute.
so, yeah, the original's 4:39. This one's 3:27.
How about that?
So he condenses like the first, I think, two or three verses into one like short one. Again, we had harmonies on this. It's a lot of cymbal drums,
I
bass
just
walking
realized
all over the
something.
place.
I just realized something. I'm sorry.
What?
This is relevant to what you said before. You said it's like Imagine. I just realized I have a note that says it's kind of like a Beatles song. So I agree with you.
Yeah, well, I was looking
I forgot.
particularly at the line, or he's like, no more, like fighting, no cowering in the dark for some overbearing priest, no waiting until we die. So the third verse,
Right.
or and third and fourth, no fighting for a land your distant fathers told you of, no spilling blood for those who never spread a drop of love. That's very like Imagine and Beatles-esque.
Yeah, that's a little Lennon. But I think in addition to that, the way they play the drums is kind of Ringo-esque because it's like all over the place sort of. It's not necessarily like straight like rock beat until the end, I think. But like
You're right. It's playing it because the drummer thought the noises sounded good rather than maybe that it was
because he kind of does
technically
like
the right
different drum
option.
patterns. Like he'll play all around and like it's in the rhythm or whatever, but it's less conventional in terms of the patterns. So it's a kind of Beatlesy version. It's kind of
Yeah, so you get to like 110, he just kind of like hits it's like a hi-hat or something just for a bit in between, and it's very Beatles-esque.
Plus, there's like some harmonies that like legit harmonies they pull out on this one.
Yeah.
So, and different people are singing. Is there a Beatles song where they all sing different parts? It's got to be, right?
There's gotta
I'm trying to think of like it kind of feels like like Abbey Road-ish.
Mm.
But I can't think of specifically.
Yeah, no,
Why?
you're right though that this has a very Beatles vibe to it, and at the very least, having different members sing different parts gives it a fuller feeling. This is another anthemic piece. So often I complain about covers that change it like a solo piece to having a bunch of different singers, but this one benefits from it because it's supposed to have a group vibe.
Yeah, you really get that feeling of having more people because there are more people making themselves known. There's also like a harpsichord.
Yeah, that
Which
plays on
is a little Beatles.
the Scared of Dying bridge.
Yeah, so that's fun.
And that's when you get Karina Denike?
Right. Nike.
Nike. And then we get a similar thing to the last track where they slow it down to just some piano and vocals again, and then speed back up again.
Yeah, and this time, like, for the outro, basically, just all out.
Yeah.
Total shift. It's all punk rock now, baby.
That's right.
And
So
and
yeah,
that's what they ended,
another dynamic performance here.
Right, yeah, what they've been doing with a lot of them where they have different sort of sections, very distinct sections.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a big fun piece. I think they do a lot with it. It's I think a good finisher for their half of the album.
I agree. I think Glory Hallelujah is a good finisher anyway.
Yeah.
It was the last song, or not? Was it the last song on?
I think maybe on the non-deluxe version.
I can't
yes.
tell. I'm on the fucking deluxe version.
Let me check here. England, keep
Look
my
for that not
bones. Track listings on the original. Yes, the Glory Hallelujah is the last track. So yeah, it's got that finality. It's a great piece just in general. So like we said, it's got some good punk rock vibes in there.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously they keyed on that. They've been playing it live before, so maybe it's maybe a sharper cover than some of the others because they have more experience playing it.
Yeah, they've had more time to like think about what they want to do with it and maybe
Mhm.
do it in an interesting way. I know we've talked about was it Spoon who sometimes is like, "Hey, we practiced this song. Let's do it as if we were playing it as this other group." Was that what that was?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was
So that's like a good
That
technique
will
for
actually
kind of switching
come
things up.
in one of the Frank Turner covers. He took a similar approach to composing one of these.
All right. So let's move right along then into the
Right along to the
second half
second
of the
half.
album. Frank Turner covering NOFX.
NOFX. The first one being Scavenger Type in 1994 from Punk and Drublic, which is their big kind of step into the mainstream.
Yeah,
This is when
so
they started to get recognition.
Gigging alone at the bottom of the hill. Our protagonist named Bill sets his sights on an anchor steam pint. All he
this song is not 7 minutes long,
No, it's like maybe 2 minutes long.
but they seem to like adding silence and then outtakes on the ends of their albums. So there are two songs
Yeah.
on here that are not as long as they seem.
Yeah.
Let me...
So this song is, I mean, the beauty of coming into this half of the album is the songs are short, sweet, and simple.
It's true.
This song is about a homeless man
Named
who,
Bill.
Named Bill, who busks and also picks up bottles
For
to try and
money?
get booze primarily.
Yeah, there's a lyric that says like, where is it?
California Redemption
Yeah,
provides him with his rent.
room and board inside a fifth of comfort, Southern comfort. That's alcohol, everybody. Wind penetrates his bones.
Yeah. Wind penetrates his bones. His mind keeps focused. Yeah, he dies busking in the cold.
Yeah, because the mercury is dropping or something.
The mercury, I think, referring to the
Yeah,
thermometer.
Yeah. It's kind of like Charlie Freak. It's not quite that.
Charlie Freak?
The Steely Dan song.
I don't know that one.
Steely
It's,
Dan
it's
song,
off
Charlie Freak.
Pretzel
off of Pretzel
Logic. I
Logic.
should know it.
But with fewer characters.
Yeah.
Basically because it's about a homeless person who dies.
Yeah, so like part of it is the isolation of this man.
Yeah, there's
And
really like it's just
yeah.
him talking about what he does, and like he's thinking about, later I'll do this thing, which is drinking, I think. And he sights on an Anchor Steam pint. But he instead just dies in the cold.
Yeah, because he's 13 quarters short, which is what? That's 325.
It's not a lot of money.
Not a lot.
Not a lot of money. And it's
it's
sad.
It's sad. Yeah, it's short, succinct, and very fucking sad. And I think amplified by the very sparse instrumentation on this.
Right, because like we had on Glory Hallelujah was kind of the opposite feeling of we need to make it feel like it's a group, but now they need to do the opposite and make it feel like it's someone who's isolated, who's all
Yeah,
alone.
it's like a bare bones rhythm guitar and then just a fairly quiet performance from Fat Mike.
Fuck.
Yeah, this was one I didn't like until I actually looked at the lyrics. I was just like, "Nah, the song's fine, I guess." And then you look at the lyrics and it's devastating.
Well, I kept listening to this passively throughout the week and being like,
Yeah.
fuck, Spotify's fucking up because it's just silence right now.
Yeah, for like 5
So
minutes.
long. I was like, what is this song? Anyway. But no, everything was working.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then the end of it is him doing cartoon impressions and saying the phrase, "This guy's more punk than me."
This guy's bunked in like various voices. And also an outtake from another song, Perfect Government, I believe. That's How Did the Cat Get So
Okay.
Fat?
Yeah.
How did the cat get so... Like trying to sing the line, like learning to sing it. And then doing
Okay.
voices.
Yeah.
And now
with that, Alex,
it's Frank
the Frank
Turner's
Turner
turn
version.
to do a higher energy version of a NoFX song.
Sitting alone at the bottom of the hill, our protagonist named Bill sets his sights on an Anchor Steam pine. All he needs is 30
Yeah.
This one.
This is pretty classic shouting Frank.
Yeah, absolutely. Kicks it out right from the start.
Yeah.
Mostly drums, big guitar chords.
Yeah. And then we just sort of build throughout, and it's like it's short, it's sweet, it's what does it come in under 2 minutes, I think?
Yeah, it's still like 1:43.
Yeah.
I'm just like looking at my notes. There's not many. I have more
Yeah.
after this, but it's like drums and then he's like playing muted acoustic guitar.
Yeah. We get a
Chords.
bass line that kind of runs up and down near the like 43 seconds. You'll hear it.
I think it plays earlier, but it's not really playing a bass line. It's just like playing with the. It's like every two measures they'll do like a bam, and then more and more comes in there.
Well, yeah, it's not just that band. It's like doing a run. It's
That's for after that. Sorry.
yeah.
Definitely. Running.
And it's very reminiscent of NoFX style bass lines, but it's done in a cover that the original doesn't actually have a bass line.
Interestingly enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it builds by adding more instruments, which is something again we've seen a lot in pop type songs.
Yeah. And like this one covers all the beats. He shouts out at the end the final line there. I think he shouts it a couple times, doesn't he? No one did see him die.
He holds
Or does he just hold it? Yeah.
He holds I.
Yeah.
No, he says it.
Everything
He says he holds it, and then at the end he goes, "No, what?" And then he says it again, like fast.
Yeah. I mean, with this version, like Frank's definitely established a different version from the original.
Yeah, it's very different. In energy.
think the loudness we lose I think the delivery of the original is part of what makes those lyrics really shine.
Because it's so small feeling.
Yeah.
And this feels so much bigger.
Yeah.
It's definitely, yeah, it feels like now he's got a band, because obviously Frank Turner hasn't played before on this album, but the way we set it up, we were alternating them.
Mm-hmm.
So listening to this is like Frank Turner sings with an acoustic guitar, Frank Turner sings with an acoustic guitar, and then this one was like, there's the band.
Yeah, right. We do get a violent shift in what we've been hearing from Frank Turner.
Yeah, I guess Glory Hallelujah notwithstanding.
Yeah.
That's a fun word.
So yeah, fun version. I think it unfortunately loses the core of what makes the original work.
And that's a shame.
That is a shame. Still, enjoy, like, it's a good performance. Like I said, like, no version on this album is bad. Just some are better than others.
I tend to agree.
With that, we're going to talk about Bob, the 1992 song from White Trash. So Bob is an alcoholic.
He can't drink now.
His liver fucking exploded.
Which, whew, that's quite a
So
thing.
my understanding of this is the doctor tells him he can't drink anymore, and so he says, okay, I got to do something else now. So then he becomes a hardcore punk.
1 second.
Okay.
I gotta adjust my blinds.
Adjust those blinds, Alex.
Yeah, I think he becomes a skinhead.
Yeah, like a Nazi skinhead or like a hard punk skinhead?
It's hard to know, but like they do specifically reference being a skinhead. Is there a not negative connotation of skinhead?
That's the question that I would like answered.
Because like
Alex.
Isaki like gets these huge boots, well, like Doc Martens or whatever, and like a girlfriend. Actually, that's kind of interesting. Like the way they structured it, is kind of two, like there's two verses and they kind of have two perspectives on Bill. So the beginning it's introduces him and like talks about how he would be drinking constantly, and then the doctor says he can't, and Bob says, well, that sucks, now I gotta do something else to pass the time. They kind of split up that line between a backup vocal, and then it like talks about like what he did kind of on the surface level. Someone shaves his head, he gets these boots, girlfriend, and then they like have fun, and then or they go out, but then there's like this last line at the end and says as the trucks drive by, and then you can hear the motherfuckers go, and then there's a trumpet solo, which is fun.
Yeah.
And it kind of sounds like a car driving by, sort of Doppler effect.
Yeah,
sound
the
off
starting
start.
noise is like a car going by, and then it just goes into a solo.
So that's cool.
I just did some skinhead research here. So the specific punk scene that Bob gets into is called Oi.
Okay, that makes
which is
sense.
why when he says I got to do something else, we get
oi.
oi, oi, oi. And here's what I got for you from Wikipedia. During the late 1970s and early 1980s, many skinheads and suede heads in the United Kingdom rejected both the far left and the far right. This anti-extremist attitude was musically typified by oi bands such as Cockney Rejects, the Foreskins, Toy Dolls, and The Business.
So they reject fascism and also whatever you want to call it. Well, yeah, far right and far left ideologies. Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's not implying that he is like a neo-Nazi or anything, so that's good.
Yeah.
And then they get into the second verse, and this sort of like shows the other side of his new identity. He's like now he's using cocaine and I guess a lot of coffee.
And getting into fights at punk shows.
Yeah, so like he's still kind of. So it's kind of the two sides. The first verse is like, oh, he like changed his hair and got some new clothes and a new girlfriend, and like they ride on a scooter. But then he's like just doing coke and fighting guys. Also,
Yeah.
so it's like, and then it asks if he will ever walk the line, which I guess means change. Really?
Yeah, well, and some people have suggested it's like, will he ever, just kind of be more straight laced?
Yeah, I tried to look up the phrase because it's one I've heard before because I've seen the movie Walk the Line, and I've
Right.
heard the song Walk the Line, but like I never really known what that meant. And according to
Yeah.
the internet, it kind of means walking the line between like I guess the good and the bad. Like Johnny Cash was kind of an outlaw type, outlaw country
Right.
type.
So is it will he ever find a right balance? Because
Yeah,
obviously
I think
doing
so.
blow and fucking taking so much coffee that your heart explodes and getting into fights where your body's getting ripped up is not healthy. It's not a good alternative to drinking even
Yeah, but he
maybe.
still kind of has like those two sides to his life. Then he's trying to fill this void or whatever.
Yeah, to all my friends I feel just great. There's a sort of Fight Club element to this where he's got this second life where he's going wild and punching dudes.
Yeah. So
Best
yes.
line in this though is Bob's the kind of guy who knows just what to do when the doctor tells him to.
And why is that the best line?
That's funny.
Okay.
He knows exactly what to do when an authority tells him what he has to do.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yes. It is. Okay, I get it now. I didn't get it until you said it, but I like it now too.
Yeah, it's I think it is punctuated that way in the songs though that it is a joke.
So yeah, it's making fun like he wouldn't like he's got no idea what the fuck's going on basically.
Mhm. Exactly. Will he ever walk the line? I don't know. He's a bit of a goober. And if you watch the music video, at the
Which
end he has a
I did not.
fucking beer.
Oh. Well. Oh yeah, I brought the video up, but I forgot to watch it.
Yeah, the final noise in it is the sound of like opening a can. He's at a bus stop and a dude in a suit hands it to him.
Okay, I heard it. I went
Heard
to
it?
the end, but I went too far.
There you go. So let's talk about how they perform this song, Alex.
Yeah, let's talk about it real quick. There's some ska in this one as well.
Yeah.
Doesn't open with ska. Doesn't open with ska.
No,
It opens with
your
fast punk
muted
strumming.
rhythm guitar.
Down strums.
The doctor said.
You get in that first verse, maybe
Yeah.
section, and then the ska comes in.
Yeah, that ska comes in, baby.
Just kidding. Ugh, I'm all over
No
the
sweat.
place.
It's
There's a heavy guitar, and
Yeah.
then the ska comes in.
It's yeah, we get the ska particularly just before he starts talking about the trucks.
And that is when the
Yeah.
trumpet solo happens. You can hear the motherfuckers go.
Yeah, this very lighthearted trumpet solo. Because I think this song is supposed to be funny. It's about an alcoholic who is then like, oh yeah, I know what to do, and then like goes and fucks himself up more.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, it's this sort of painting this portrait of this person that they don't seem to think very highly
Yeah.
of.
Yeah, we the scooter line is where we scot up, trumpet solo, walking bass at the back. Then it jumps back to the more drum focused composition they had earlier. And then when we get to the doctor line about quit your drinking, we start playing fast. And that kind of takes us out through the rest of the song.
Yeah, you get that fast. I wish I knew a name for this because we've talked about it before. It's that one punk rock beat that they do in punk rock.
Yeah, the punk beat.
You know? They're like.
Yeah, buddy. Yeah.
It's like the fucking Duel of the Fates.
But on drums.
But
The drums of fate.
it's on drums. Duel of the Fates on drums of fate.
So we're gonna
That's
call
what
it.
we're gonna call it
So you
now.
get the drums of fate, and then we get some
Drums of fate.
scat at the end. Scat and skank.
Yeah, he scats a bit at the end, and the
Bob.
last thing he says is Bob. He says like Scooby Doo Bob. I don't remember
like
it
that.
specifically.
That's
Something like that.
the original song, and there's a music video for it. It's got some like children's drawings in it. That's okay. It's
forgot to
predominantly
watch
shots of the guy Bob riding around on a scooter.
See, this is a scooter, and the song mentions a scooter, but
You
I
were
wasn't
thinking like a more
that kind of
motorized one.
scooter.
Like the kind you sit on, like a Vespa.
Yeah.
Yeah,
like a
I would
Vespa.
think so too. But I don't know, maybe they couldn't afford a Vespa back in 1992. Maybe not,
Maybe
buddy.
not.
But yeah, we see him. He's like wearing a wife beater. He starts out with a full head of hair. Then we get to watch him get shaved, and then he's cruising on a scooter through some city streets, looking like a straight up skinhead punk. And we get some black and white concert footage, and then it ends with him at a bus stop, and he has a beer because Bob's a fucking idiot. Oh, Bob.
Oh, Bob.
Probably
Will you
not.
ever walk the line?
Now for the Frank Turner
Probably.
version.
Quit your drinking, now's the time. But will he ever walk the line? To all my friends, I feel just fine. But will he ever?
This one, we slow it right down, baby.
The Frank? Oh, yeah. This one,
Yeah.
is sad for Bob. We're not making fun of Bob.
This one really asks the
anymore.
question, what's
it's
Bob
got
gonna do?
What's Bob gonna do? This one is like what I like to call deep acoustic strumming, because it's like echoey or something. I don't know. It starts with some
Right, so
acoustic
it's got like a rich
and he sings
sort of quality to it. It really fills the space.
Yeah, there's also some kind of organ or something playing the
Yeah.
chords as well. Fattening him up. Getting ready for the slaughter.
Jesus. Now the drums roll gently in on the doctor line. He does a real nice touch on when he plays Bob's part. He talks that line and says, "That's the point. I want to think about nothing." Which is just good. There's no oys in this version.
It's a lot lower energy. So I guess stylistically we go from the last one. This one feels very different.
It's got that Frank Turner nostalgia vibe you brought up earlier.
Where, yeah, it's kind of a little like melancholy,
Yeah.
I think. Because I really do think this now, like, it's sad for Bob. It's like, Bob's got to make some changes, but maybe he's not doing
Yeah,
the
but
best
he
thing.
doesn't seem to be capable of it. So when we ask the
Yeah.
question at the end, like, will he walk the line? We really don't know. It's just like,
Yeah. But we kind of hope he will.
yeah, there's
But-
a bit of hope.
But maybe not.
The trumpet solo is replaced by a harmonica on this.
Yes, which unfortunately means they don't do the car sound.
Yeah, you can't mirror that car noise, which is a delight in the original. But overall, I do like harmonicas. So
Yeah, it's a nice harmonica solo. It's kind of, it fits with the rest of this version of the song.
And then he, really builds up to the repetitions at the end. Everything sort of gets loud there. We get backup vocals as he repeats, "Will he ever walk the line?"
Yeah, you get this sort of like power ballad backup vocals.
Yeah.
With the band.
Apparently, the end of this song. So, I'm probably hearing it right now. I'm looking at the interview with Frank Turner. He says, "The end of Bob, for example, has some of the highest notes I have sung on the record, and I had to take a run up for that motherfucker."
He does go pretty high, and then he sings a little falsetto where he goes,
Yeah. A fun fact about this one. He says, there's a lot of people who are maybe not aware of my existence prior have heard my version of Bob and fucking hate it. Oh my god, did they hate it in a way that fills me with joy. I mean, it's just funny. It's quite entertaining to me to see people losing their mind because somebody has done something not punk to a punk song.
It's true, it's not very punk.
This is not punk at all. But the same,
But it's got a
yeah.
like we said, it's got a different feel about it, but it's like still makes sense.
Yeah, the same way that NOFX pop punkified Substitute, Frank Turner has saddened Bob.
Yeah, depunkified
Depunkified.
Bob. But yeah, I think it still works.
Yeah, I think this is a fantastic one. Probably, I would say the second best one that Frank Turner turns out on the covers here.
Second best.
Second
it's
best.
definitely like the one that probably stuck with me the most. Like,
Mhm.
I don't know. Yeah, like the parts of this one I remember more so than a lot of the other ones.
Yeah. So then there's a music video for this one as well, which is done by NoFX. They dress up as Frank Turner and the Sleeping Souls. And we get interstitial shots of a dude on a punk-looking scooter. He is not. He's not the Bob of the original. He's quite young and a little more gender fluid in his appearance.
Mm-hmm.
We get shots of them playing in a field. Fat Mike has a parrot.
He does have a parrot. Yeah, it's great. They're all in like button ups and like vests.
Yeah,
trying to look like the Sleeping Souls. And like miming along to the Frank Turner track.
Yeah, and
everything is acoustic. Like they even gave their bass player an acoustic bass.
Yeah. Really taking the piss out of Frank and the Sleeping Souls.
I don't know. Yeah, that like sort of like folky aspect.
To the point where if you look in the YouTube comments, people are like, "Oh, they're making fun of Mumford and Sons." I'm like, I don't think they are, but.
And they're mostly like kind of fucking around.
Yeah, they do. They drive in this little teeny tiny truck. And then when it comes by, the El Jefe is playing the saxophone, playing it in quotation marks, obviously, as the harmonica part plays.
Yeah, it's a saxophone. Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's also a bit where they're just like in a tree.
Yeah, they managed to fit like all of them in a tree at some point.
And like very clearly not comfortably in the tree because there's like branches and leaves hanging around them and like around their instruments.
Yeah.
And like covering them up. It's fun.
It's a very fun video. They do a little like pub drinking singing segment.
Yes, they do, where they all have like a pint or whatever. And they kind of put their arms. Do they put their arms around his shoulders? No.
No.
They could though.
They're like swinging the drinks. They got water in mason jar cups.
Right.
Yeah, it's a delightful video.
Some other things like leaf blowers.
Yeah.
Don't know why. There's just like I guess they're trying to look like they're an old pub because they've got like a ship steering wheel on the wall. Stuff like that. Or not the wall, it's on a tree.
Yeah. Yeah, dog.
Anyway, yeah. So it's fun. It's a fun music video.
Fun music video. I think a good cover. With that, we're going to move into Eat the Meek in 1997 from So Long and Thanks for All the Shoes.
Why must we stay where we don't belong? Why must we
Which, is that a reference to Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy?
I mean, I don't know anything else it could be a reference to. I'm pretty sure it is.
Tight. This is white man reggae.
Yeah, this goes reggae.
Yeah.
Like slows it down, opens with like the snare, like, and then just like skanking.
Yeah. And a bass line that is
trumpet.
not walking like you get in a ska, but like a specific groove that you kind of alter.
Yeah, doing like boom,
Boom.
but yeah, this goes reggae.
Yeah, straight down to the vocalization and like the rhythm of how they sing.
Yeah, and like the guitar skank has got this like wah sound to it. Yeah. It's got. Yeah.
Yeah, this one stands out just for that alone. I've never, and maybe it's just my fault for not listening to enough 90s punk, but I've never quite heard this kind of white reggae.
Like this level of reggae?
Yeah.
They like crank up. The reggae's cranked way up on this song.
Yeah.
And that's like what it is. It does some more stuff at the end where they play like a on like the bass and then like on the drums, and it's got some good stuff in it, I think.
Yeah. It's a very, very even, like a lot of it's pretty consistent. Once you get them set up, the instruments kind of just play their role throughout.
In the last verse, the bass like speeds up.
Yeah, around about 2:30, we do get a change in the rhythm. Beyond that, it's fairly even throughout. In terms of what the song is about, we didn't even touch on that. We jumped straight into the instruments.
That's
it's
true.
Essentially an anti-capitalist theme.
Yes, it's talking. Obviously, the title "Eat the Meek" is sort of like their sarcastic line. They're like, "Oh, we might as well just eat the meek, cause like, why not? Cause they don't have any value," which is the opposite of what the song is saying.
Mm-hmm.
And talk to yeah, cause like specific complaints about like, I guess the news talking about mass producing fear
Yeah,
and selling it at a reasonable price, and people feed on it
yeah.
and
It,
bathe in
it
it,
seems to be replacing love.
inject it. Yeah. So kind of like music in substitute.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Hmm. And then yeah, the chorus that's repeated quite frequently. Why must we stay where we don't belong?
What does that mean to you?
I think it's about possibly feeling like an outcast, particularly in a capitalist society. It's like, why do I have to be here where I'm not subscribing to the values of the majority?
That makes sense. Yeah, I was struggling with that line.
Yeah, it is a little. Even that definition I gave you is just an approximation. That might not be like 100%, but yeah, it does stick out a
I
little.
like it though. Yeah, because I mean it's not the song title, obviously, but it is like the chorus or refrain. Maybe it's a repeated line quite a lot. So
Yeah, you know what I think? I
Huh.
think yeah, because he says things like there's always going to be pedigree, one own the air, one pay to breathe. So he's talking about all of these things that are a fact of society, and then the repetition is always, why must we stay where we don't belong? Why do we have to be here when we're evidently not welcome here?
yeah, I also like. I mean, the title kind of stuck out because there's a, I think, more recent phrase where people will say "eat the rich,"
Mm,
kind of with a similar attitude, you know,
yeah,
where like this is sarcastic, but they kind of end up meaning more or less the same thing in like abandoned capitalist society or whatever, or
yeah,
downfall of capitalism thing. So that was what I was familiar with. So seeing this title kind of made me think of that, and it actually is similar.
yeah. And then also there's the what is it? The Beatitudes, blessed be the meek.
True, which also comes up kind of in Gloria Hallelujah.
Yeah.
Now that we're drawing connections.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, specifically referencing the idea of meekness, and in this is like fuck 'em.
Yeah, and so I think that title is sort of like it's evidently about the American system, which claims to be based on Christian values.
Right.
So, but eat the meek is what they do here. It's the complete opposite.
Yeah, and that's this song. Pretty solid song. I could see myself listening to this regularly.
Yeah, it's good. It's got some it's good. It's a good reggae piece. With that, let's talk about the Frank Turner versions.
Because there's never gonna be enough space. So eat the meek, enjoy the waste.
So this is the one I was referring to when I said that Frank Turner used a similar technique to Spoon. I have a
To sound like someone else.
Yes. So he said they were having trouble with it.
Oh.
He said the hardest one to put together was Eat the Meek. I fucking adore that song and really wanted to do it on the split, but we kept kind of drifting back to playing it the way they play it, and in the end, the secret word that broke the logjam was when I said to the band, when I said to the drummer and bass player Nigel and Tarrant to try playing it like Fugazi. It was another punk band.
Fugazi.
That finally created a really original sounding bedrock for the song.
Fugazi. I don't know Fugazi.
Yeah, me neither.
Style transcending music. Interesting.
Yeah, I can tell you this. That it's a fucking meaty bass line on this. Some nice steely sound on it, and it just kind of, it runs pretty quick.
Yeah, absolutely. Like this one, they go like the drums is something I'm noticing. Like they just like go like continually, where you get that like there's not much space, you know.
Mm-hmm.
This one I thought this was more like almost grungy. It's kind of got like this like it's very textured,
Yeah.
you know, less like melodic. Particularly like the beginning just sounds echoing in pipes, which is, I don't even know what I would classify that as. It's like
Yeah.
sound effects.
It's I couldn't even identify like what those sounds were, but yeah, you're right. It definitely sets up a gritty texture.
Yeah, and then like you said, that like heavy bass line, and then some really echoey lyrics on top of that.
Yeah, and a drum line that pretty much matches with the bass.
True, they're both just like going.
Yeah.
Another thing this one does is it double tracks the vocals, where it's a fun technique that I think David Bowie used it a lot, where like he kind of used multiple takes at different energy levels and then just overdub them.
Right.
So you have one where he's doing this like never gonna be enough space, not that part of the song, but and then like the high one where he's just like screaming it
Right.
at the same time.
Yeah, it certainly sets up an interesting sound. It keeps you engaged even if it is a fairly even vocal performance.
Yeah, this one I think is more like textured.
Mm-hmm.
Like almost, and it doesn't sound like them that much, but it kind of reminds me of like Rush in a way, a little bit, with like the textures and levels and stuff like that.
Okay, I could see a little.
Just a
of
little
that.
bit, just a little bit, like particularly like Vapor Trails
Right.
era. Like yeah,
Yeah, I don't know much about Vapor Trails era, so I will take your word for that.
yeah, but it's like it's pretty tenuous. I'll admit
I'll
it's not
allow
that
it.
close, but it kind of reminds me.
Yeah,
of
but
it.
you get a lot of ambient noises that kind of come in and just layer at different parts. There'll be sort of like really distorted and decaying guitar that has like just plays like a couple of notes and rings those out.
Yeah, it's a lot of that like multi-layered guitar where you really get that rhythm, but also then that like kind of like coming in at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a very not reggae take on this song.
Very not reggae. I don't think it's that Frank Turner either.
Yeah, it seems it's a more of a reach for Frank Turner. It's he never usually sings quite so low on his solo stuff.
Another thing that they take from the original, sort of, is the Discarded Youth line when he sings Discarded Youth. It's right at like 2:30
Yeah.
mark. They do an echo with, again, a higher intensity version.
Yeah.
The original has an echo, but it doesn't do that same high intensity thing.
Yeah, this echo actually resembles one of NoFX's covers where they did fuck. I should remember this because we just talked about it.
We did just talk about it. I don't remember. I don't know what you're talking
Wasn't
about.
Glory Hallelujah where they did like a call and response on the later verse. Do I have the word call? I got physically. Get back up. It's Worst Things Happen at Sea. They do a sort of call and response with one distorted vocal track and one regular one on the final verse of that one.
Because that kind of, they have a similar thing going on with their like increasing texture, sort of, on that song.
Yeah.
Because like that's their intensity build, is just like layering instruments on.
Yeah. And so then on this one we have some of that with that distorted shouting, which comes in and then sticks around. And yeah, it sort of builds up in the loudness of the instruments and breaks for the last like 20 seconds down to just some ambient sustain.
Mm-hmm.
And then that fades out. So yeah, different take. Pretty cool. I'm here for the bass line, baby.
Yeah, kind of. It's a style of music that sometimes takes me a while to get. Like I have to listen to it a lot before I like get it. You know?
Right, because
or not necessarily get it, but before I can like kind of appreciate it and enjoy it more.
Yeah.
Even Rush does that to me sometimes. Like I didn't like Clockwork Angels right off the bat. It took me a couple months before I actually. Now I really like it, but right away I was kind of undecided. So
yeah, sometimes what's interesting about the songs is not immediately apparent.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to give it a few listens. You're like, oh, this is why this is a good song.
Yeah. Gotta spend some time with it. So this one's a little more layered than the other ones, I think.
With that, we're gonna move into Perfect Government in 1994 off Punked and Drublick.
How can they sleep at night? How can they sleep at night?
so fat? How did the cat get so fat?
This is
Fucking
actually the original version of this is by Mark Curry in 1992.
And how did the cat get so fat?
It's a pretty standard acoustic and vocal piece. The lead guitarist for NoFX, El Jefe, used to play with Mark Curry, and I suppose sort of took this song to NoFX and was like, "Hey guys, this is a good song. Let's tell you this is about government, how it's bad." And they said, "That's awesome. We love how the government is bad."
We love how the government is bad. Who the fuck are they?
That's the question we're all asking.
Yeah. So and they ask it. They're like, "Who's the government? Like, what's their thing? What's freedom, really?"
Yeah.
That's kind of their question that is asked in this song, and a line that is repeated a lot. How did the cat get so fat? Which is fun, because fat cat is one of my favorite words.
Yeah, I love fat cats. I mean, I don't like them personally, but I like saying the phrase fat cats.
Yeah, fat cats. We're like, that's those fat cats over there.
Yeah, so it
Is
seems to be, it mentions corruption in the government and also complacency on behalf of the people. Where it says, how did the cat get so fat? Why does the family die? Do you care why? You being the listener.
Possibly.
Possibly.
Even the government.
Even
yeah.
the government.
Who might be listening? I don't know. Anybody.
Mm-hmm. Interestingly, in
Is
the Mark
anything getting
Curry
better?
version, instead of how can they sleep at night, he, I think, indicts himself, and he says something about, like, what if I tried to do something? How can I sleep at night or something? I gotta fucking look at it again. I didn't think I was gonna talk about the Mark Curry version that much. Now here I am, a fool.
Well, you're on your own, because I didn't listen to the Mark Curry version.
Yeah, he says, hang on.
Yep.
Hang on.
Yep.
And I wonder if I could make a difference, but I wouldn't. Could I sleep at night? He asked himself basically, if I was in the same position as these government officials, knowing I could do something but not doing it, could I sleep at night?
So kind of a similar question.
Yeah.
But like, if I did that, would I be able to sleep? Clearly you can, because you keep doing it kind
Yeah.
of thing. But this one just asks, how can they sleep at night? And how did the cat get so fat?
Good, short, sweet, simple punk.
Punk.
We got, tell me about this. Tell me about this composition, Alex.
It's interesting, because the beginning rapidly switches back and forth between two styles.
Yeah.
It starts with like some kind of simple, like, picked electric guitar, and then just goes right into like punk, hard chords, fast drums, and then like goes back to the old sound for a bit.
Yeah.
And it's like kind of country, like very rapidly.
Yeah.
Like they're just strumming chords and kind of like singing a little raspy. And like, none of this is easy. Like it sounds a little country.
Yeah, just a bit. And then it jumps back up immediately on the word freedom.
Yeah, immediately. It's just the first line of it is easy to be free. What's your definition of? And then freedom.
Yeah, it's back to the fast drums.
Right back into punk. And where am I now?
And from there you get some pretty standard like punk progression. We get a little bit of chugging guitar at some points, and then it's just fast guitar.
Yeah, it's pretty like long sustained guitar, particularly for How Did the Cat Get So Fat. Pretty straightforward, like punk rock with chord changes.
Mm-hmm.
And like that, the drums playing.
Yeah, and we get that like fade out before the "How can they sleep at night" lines.
Sorry, I just needed to drink water loudly.
Good, great.
And then burp into the microphone.
Please.
And then make that sound, which was not a burp. It was just me making a sound. Also, yeah, I don't have much else to say about this. Like, compositionally, I think it's pretty straightforward. There's a guitar solo. I didn't mention that.
Yeah, right near the end here, we get a guitar solo.
Yeah, that's the thing.
And that's their ending point, is the guitar solo that leads us to the end. Yeah, you're right. Like I said, it's short, sweet, simple punk. It's
punk.
all you need to know, buddy. Let's talk about the Frank Turner version, which opens with piano, drums, and guitars and shit.
How can they sleep at night? 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 How did the cat get so fat?
Yeah. Right into it. Also, it's labeled as explicit, but the original is not.
Explicit. Well, he says, "Who the
But I
fuck
think
are you?"
They both say
How is the original not explicit? Maybe they just didn't care back then.
maybe. I don't know. Is it censored? I don't think it is.
No, it's not.
I feel like
Oh, this one's so it's not quite hardcore. It's very it's kind of laid back but upbeat.
yeah, like again, fairly straightforward. Like this one doesn't have like a lot of tricks or anything.
Yeah, it's got some country elements. The bass line is basically just a country root fifth. Boom, boom, boom,
That
boom.
piano sound I think is pretty, to me, distinctive. You get from the Sleeping Souls.
Yeah. Even that guitar that comes in occasionally that noodles over the top.
Right.
Yeah, it's like very
Yeah, that like electric guitar riff.
Yeah, it's very like traditional Sleeping Souls tones on this.
Yeah, so that's kind of how I thought of this one. It was pretty, as far as Sleeping Souls songs go, fairly straightforward.
Yeah, and I think Frank Turner keyed in on the "How can they sleep at night" being a good song, but rather a good line to repeat more than once.
Yeah, absolutely, because he like totally cuts down and they do like held sustained chords over him just saying how did they sleep at night and how did the cat get so fat. Well, how did they sleep at night anyway?
Yeah. And then they do like an
Um,
a cappella rise on the final Fat Cat line. It's,
Oh yeah, they do like a whole like chord building thing.
yeah,
Like a barbershop quartet.
yeah.
Ba-
And then rather than a guitar solo, we just kind of get a piano and other instruments like leading us out.
Yeah, it does like the intro piano riff again. And then the instrumentation, like they keep playing the piano riff, but the other instruments change a bit,
Yeah, it's
including the drums. Yeah.
this one's still pretty short, simple, and sweet, just not punk.
True.
With that,
And,
Alex, you got anything else to say about it?
Not really. This government doesn't sound very perfect to me.
Yeah, this
That's all
government
I have
sounds
to
like
say.
shit, bro.
Sounds like they're a little mean sometimes.
Yeah. Somebody must have titled the song wrong. It's supposed to be Imperfect Government. These fucking idiots. With that,
This is another one. Yeah, moving to Falling in Love.
We're
That's
gonna
what I
move
was
to
talking
Falling
about.
in Love.
Oxygen mask, smoke-filled coffin, depressurized. Don't be afraid. Hold on to me.
I'm getting ahead of myself here. Falling in Love. NOFX, obviously. Another one off of So Long and Thanks for All the Shoes.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't list all the albums, but that's fine.
I think we did.
Oh, I may have zoned out for some of them.
Well, Alex, that is fine. But yeah,
I'll take this one. I already did.
good job, Alex.
This is another one that is like, I mean, not super long, but like I was surprised to see it was 5 minutes long. And then I looked up the lyrics before I listened to it, and I was skeptical
Yeah, you're like,
because there's not a lot
that's
of
not
lyrics.
much.
And it's not. There's silence here again.
Hell yeah. I mean, honestly, we could do a full read of these lyrics right here and right now.
Lay it on me, bro.
Blast oxygen masks, smoke-filled cabin, depressurize, don't be afraid, hold on to me. We're going down, but not our love. Death don't seem
Stanza
so
one
bad.
over.
Stanza 1 over. Stanza 2. Death don't seem so bad when I'm with you. My only love, so close your eyes. Kiss me one last time. We're gonna die, but not our love. Not our love.
That's it.
It's about dying in a plane crash, but still being in love.
Oh, it is about dying in a plane crash.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, how about that?
So Frank Turner says of this song, one of the first times we ever hung out socially, him and Fat Mike, I said to him that Falling in Love is the best song he's ever written. He looked at me like I was a bit mad, but then he said he thought so too, but literally no one else does, to which I replied that they're all idiots, and so that one was always going to make the list.
'Cause it's a pun.
It's a pun. Falling in
'Cause-
love.
They're falling. And they're in love.
Yeah.
And they die.
It's, yeah.
Plane crash.
Similar to, kind of similar to the song Tonight by Iggy Pop, where it's about his lover who's dying of heroin overdose, and he tells her everything's going to be all right.
But it's not.
Love songs for dying people.
Yeah. So this one opens with it sounds like the music is in the next room on like a TV or something.
Yeah. Comes
That's
in
kind of
very
the
tinny,
vibe.
but it starts with that guitar line that starts to slowly build and get more full.
And then suddenly, boom, it enters the room or something. Because it's not. It doesn't have the same sound. It just sounds like they're playing the guitar.
Yeah. And yeah, like the drums too, because you get some tinny, you get a tinny drum roll as well as some cymbal hits in the beginning there.
True. And then it goes to pretty much just like, well, that punk rock rhythm one.
Yeah.
But you really just get like drums and bass as he's singing.
That's right.
And there's a lot of like that fret, screech, whatever you want to call it, fret noise.
Fret nice.
Pow!
Yeah.
It's a reference to the video game Fret
Nice.
Check it out.
Yeah, big steely bass on this, fast drums as he sings about like 3 words at a time.
That is true.
Yeah.
He really separates it out because there's not a lot of words.
Yeah.
And they kind of spread them out a bit. But the song's not actually that long. It's not
No.
actually 5 minutes and 13 seconds.
It comes in at about 2 minutes and 13 seconds.
Yeah.
So yeah, you get a lot of guitar that rips for a bridge between the 2 stanzas, and then he does the second one. And then at the end, the guitar starts to go downwards, mimicking the sounds of a falling plane.
Yeah, it does the like power down thing.
Yeah.
It's crashing.
It's crashing.
Like crashing. And then there's several minutes of silence.
Yeah.
Because I believe this is the last song on the album.
You are correct, Alex.
Yeah.
And that same
and
shit, there's like
then-
some demos and shit near the end.
Yeah, and then like a Howard Stern
Yeah.
show recording of Howard Stern talking shit about NOFX.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Who is this? Who is it? They're just not rocking. It's not rocking," which is very strange to me because it was very clearly rock and roll music that was playing. But anyway, and then he says, "Who is this? NOFX. More like no talent."
Classic.
And Howard Stern doing his thing.
Just being Stern, baby.
Being Howie.
With
being
that,
Stern.
let's talk about what I believe to be the best Frank Turner cover on this one.
Lost. Oxygen masks. Smoke-filled cabin.
So this is twice as long as the original track. It's 4 minutes
Yeah.
instead of 2.
They extended way out. But it really goes for the like tragic thing. Because
Yeah.
that's what this song is. It's a tragedy.
We got some sad acoustics reminiscent of kind of like the Ballad of Me and My Friends and things like that.
Mm-hmm. And whatever makes that epic swell sound.
Yeah. That is
The like low rumble in the background.
Yeah, that is very present here. And Frank sings in a very low voice. I think it might be, it's either processed or double tracked in some way. It reminds me of newer Iggy Pop, where Iggy Pop just kind of talks.
Yeah, it kind of has a almost talky aspect to it. I think it's just really, really close mic.
Mm-hmm.
That like low energy, like speaking, not like, or like low volume at least. Close mic sound.
Yeah,
where
very-
you're just like
very
deep throating
bassy.
the shit out of the mic.
Yeah, buddy, you sound just
and you
like...
can really, do I sound like Frank Turner?
Yes.
Do I sound like Frank Turner?
There he is.
I
He's
think
in the
I'm peeking
studio.
the mic.
Yeah, you're for sure peeking the mic.
Making some bad sounds here. Yep, there it is. Okay, sorry, Mike. Sorry.
Yeah, so it's predominantly based around this repeating acoustic rhythm, and then that strange ambient kind of noise.
Yeah, a lot of ambient sounds and like drum hits, kind of like you get the maybe bass as well, like low frequency kind of spikes
Mm-hmm.
that you get from that like slow, I guess, epic, almost like you get from the low parts of the epic trailer music.
Yeah, that doom.
Kind of rings out.
Yeah. We do get an electric guitar, which comes in to do like a sad bridge, and we get some harmonies on the word death. And then I've written there's like a synthetic accordion or something that seems to come in on the second verse.
Yeah. Yeah. I thought it was like I was like, oh, this is bright synth. But it sounds like this kind of, yeah, fucked up accordion.
Mm-hmm.
It's very strange. It kind of does like a drone. I think I think it does seem to be an accordion or some kind of free reed instrument,
Mm-hmm.
which sounds like an accordion to me. And it kind of does like a drone, but it really is just doing the progression. But it's kind of droney. Like
Yeah.
it could do like bagpipes here or something as well. I don't know if that'd be better,
I don't know, Alex.
but it's kind of filling the same role that you'd expect from like the drone part of bagpipes
Yeah.
to me.
Yeah, that's fair. That's a fair analysis. Also, it sounds like when we get closer to the end, it sounds like maybe some people's voices or something join in on the ambient noise.
But it's all very like background and echoey
Yeah.
as he's saying "Not Our Love."
Yeah.
Die. So this one overall really like tries to add weight, I think, to it,
Mm-hmm.
and like put it like it's a tragic song, so sing it as a tragedy. Makes sense.
Yeah, whereas the original version focuses on the more maybe the scenario it's taking place in. It's like if it's on a plane that's crashing, it's going to be hard and intense, and these guitars are fucking screaming. Whereas this
Right,
one
it's
internalizes the moment.
it's that like literal definition versus the like slow down. I'm thinking of this cinematically.
Yeah, you're thinking it's a difference between being the bystander looking at the plane and it's going down
Yeah.
quite quickly, and being inside the plane where it's your last
The inside
moments.
and everything slows down and you're looking around and things are slowly flying up and there's probably fire. I don't know, but
Yeah,
maybe not. Smoke. There's smoke.
yeah.
Maybe not fire.
But yeah, I thought it's also a more unusual at least vocal performance from Frank.
Because it's so low.
Yeah. And so that really stuck out to me, and I think he really hit a good tone for this.
It definitely adds to the overall mood, the tragedy,
The
and
tragedy.
the slowness, and the sort of like moment in time feeling. I guess that's part of why it's so slow, so short. You don't really have time to think things, but this kind of stretches it out
Mm-hmm.
because it's the like moment lasting a very long time.
Yeah, buddy. Any other comments on this before we do a quick wrap up?
No, nothing.
Nothing. I've been thinking of how we would kind of break this down. I think I've just got the idea now. We both agreed that the general quality of covers on this is pretty good. I figure let's just say, give me the best cover that Frank turned out on this, the best that NOFX turned out, and the worst one they both did, in your opinion, or the least impressive.
Okay.
Let's start with the lowlights. Alex, what is the worst Frank cover of a NOFX song?
All right, I gotta think about this for a sec.
I'll jump in. I'll say it's probably Scavenger Type.
Scavenger type.
Where
Right, 'cause
yeah, it is a version where I think we do actually lose something
Lose something
in the translation.
transition.
Even though it's still like a fun version, I feel like what makes the original so good is lost in that delivery, and that's and again, I'll probably still listen to this cover and I still think it's pretty good or whatever. But you know, it's just like the other ones are like they're fine. You know, like other ones are much more okay if they're like Eat the Meek and Perfect Government. I think are both just solid. Whereas I think Falling in Love and Bob are the upper tier.
Right. Let's see. For me, it's probably Perfect Government. Just because he tried a lot of different things on the different songs, and that one's the one that's kind of more straightforward in his own style, which is fine. I like that. But it's a little less adventurous than the other ones.
Right. It's almost like a Frank Turner by numbers. Just like, oh yeah, and then it's a Frank Turner version.
Yeah, without anything to hold on to
Yeah.
specifically. Like without a hook, I guess.
Yeah, good call. What is the worst NoFX cover of a Frank Turner song? I think I might say Worse Things Happen at Sea. It's
Why would you say that?
I don't this might be another just like the emotional context of the original is just so, I think, expertly done with so little in terms of like performance and composition. It just all feeds into each other very well. It's hard to improve on what he has there. And what NoFX does is a passable like punk version of it, but it's just not as good.
Right. And I'm looking through all of them, and I liked them all.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I'm actually going to agree with you on this one because reading all the other ones, I don't want to pick anything else basically.
Right, yeah, it's process of elimination. Like Glory Hallelujah,
Yeah, so
tons of fun.
Yeah.
A great big one. Ballad of Me and My Friends is good. It's solid.
Mm-hmm.
The mozzarella stick ska on Thatcher Fuck the Kids is awesome, and I thought Substitute was great. Like,
Yeah, so it has to be Worse Things Happen at Sea, but only by process of elimination, not because I didn't like it.
yeah, again, I like the whole album top to bottom here. Just pointing out some lowlights and some highlights on it. Alex, the best Frank Turner cover of a NoFX song.
Best Frank Turner cover. I mean, we know what yours is because you said it.
Yeah, I have said it already. It's Falling in Love, but Bob is a close second, I will say. I thought those were both really great. Played. I like Falling in Love because it seems a little adventurous for Frank, and it comes out sounding awesome. Whereas Bob is really Frank bringing it into his own light and doing his thing with it.
Yeah, and I like that. I do. I think it's Bob for me, but it's almost Eat the Meek, but I think it's Bob.
Yeah, Eat the Meek's really good too.
Cause I'm the density of it is starting to grow on me.
Yeah, it's slow burn.
I feel give it a couple weeks and this might flip, but for now it's gonna be Bob.
Yeah, a solid choice. And Alex, the best NoFX cover of a Frank Turner song on this album.
This one, I like what they did with Glory Hallelujah, and I think I'm gonna say that.
That's a solid pick. But
I also liked what they did with Thatcher Fuck the Kids.
Yeah,
but I'm gonna stick with Glory Hallelujah.
Okay, I'm gonna go with Substitute because I really think I like subtle lyric changes that really just flip the interpretation of a song.
Right, just totally do the recontextualization.
Yeah,
feel
in as
different.
few moves as possible. It's like watching I don't know. It's like watching something quite masterful.
It's like some kind of chess challenge or something.
Yeah, like that stupid IQ puzzle where you gotta like move the pins and have them jump over each other or whatever.
Yeah, or leaping the frogs to replace their position.
Yeah.
Or to flip the frogs, you have to leap over each other.
Right. Yes,
I
do.
A Flash game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That really appeals
Biggest
to me.
change in as few moves possible. Or when you have the matches and he is move one match to make a different word.
Yeah, and you're like, oh, holy shit. Yeah, just
I gotta move a line.
Just subtle tweaks that give something a new layer of depth is awesome to me. So yeah, that's why I'm going with Substitute. Yeah. But yeah, Thatcher Fuck the Kids and also the Glory Hallelujah. Great. Some great covers on this album.
Yeah, I enjoyed listening to this album and listening to a bunch of NoFX songs that I didn't know before.
Hell yeah, I feel cultured now.
feel, well, at least a little bit like it's still punk rock. I'm not like going way outside of my comfort zone, but it's new and it's good.
Yeah, it's good. If y'all have some opinions you want to share on the album, similar, different, or maybe there's some covers of these songs that you want to talk about, hit us up on Twitter, #CoverMePod, at Jake the Cressy, at some Alex Wise Guy. Email us at covermepod@gmail.com. Send us your comments, questions, concerns. That's the end of the episode. There's no bonus segment today because we're getting close to 2.5 hours here.
This whole thing was the bonus.
Yeah,
segment.
it's a bonus episode. It's pretty much just for us because.
Yeah, it is.
Fuck it, I had a good time. As we always say on Cover Me's not dead. It just smells funny.